The next step in getting my table saw back together is to install the fence. The original fence is a Biesemeyer, and I am going to put the Biesemeyer fence itself into storage and upgrade to a VerySuperCool tools fence, which I have sitting out here ready. It is essentially a Biesemeyer style fence, so I'm not making a radical change, but I am getting some new functionality, and it does mount to my existing rail and tube, so should be fairly straightforward to install. This setup arrived in 2 packages. There was one package containing the T-square and its hardware and some instructions with a diagram on the back and a link to a YouTube video to help install it. And then the second shipment was the aluminum extrusion itself. The instructions have 10 steps. I'm just gonna walk through them. I can't give a letter grade to the instructions yet, but I can confirm that they're not helpful if you don't read them. I've already found that out. Step 1 is to attach the flapper to the T-square. And this is the flapper, and I believe this is its bolt, and it goes through that set of holes. Step 2 is to attach the cam, which is item number 21 on the diagram, which indicates that it is this. Okay, we've reached step 3. Step 3 is in yellow. They've taken a highlighter and they've highlighted next set the cam tension. Also in yellow and in bold and all caps, it says, at this point, we recommend you set the cam tension, step 3, before attaching the extrusion. At the top, in bold, it says, the most common mistake people make in assembly is forgetting to set the cam tension. So, seems like they really want me to set the cam tension. By the way, to eliminate confusion, the scrap of plywood that I grabbed to put on my tabletop to make sure nothing gets scratched just happens to have practice dog holes in it. They're not relevant to this installation. So the basic idea here from looking at the instructions as well as watching the video that they provided is that we're going to drop the T-square into place with the flapper on this side of the tube and the other part of the angle iron in here. So we drop it into place and then engage the cam by pushing it down. And what should happen is that this should be very fixed in there, but of course it's not. That's the adjustment that we need to make. So the way that adjustment is done is by turning these 2 set screws with an Allen wrench, which appears to be 3/16. So I'm going to go ahead and so I've definitely made some progress already. In the video that VSC provides, he walks through a process where he pushes really hard to make sure that this is very firm. It only took me 4 rounds of trial and error, a little bit of tightening here, to get this to a point where I can't really move it. So seems pretty solid. So that's step 3. Step 4 is to attach the custom UHMW T-glide to the outfeed end of the extrusion. That part is not called out by number in the instructions, but I assume it's this. And it is labeled in the parts diagram on the other side as number 50, which pretty much seems like it has to be this. And it talks about the outfeed end of the extrusion. These 2 ends are currently the same, and one of them will become the outfeed end after I install this, which appears to be another Allen wrench, but it cannot be 3/16. Pretty sure it's 3/32. I'm not sure how far along this, I'm supposed to install this, but it'll be easy to change later once I understand that. In his video, the VSC guy actually has this thing sort of loose and floating, and its purpose is to sit on the table so things don't get scratched. So I'm going to remove my fancy scrap plywood and it's time to go ahead and mount the T-square to the aluminum extrusion. And I watched the video and this looks pretty straightforward. You just need to loosen these T-nuts so that they can slide in. All 4 T-nuts slide into the bottom side of the extrusion. Yeah, so maybe leaving my plywood in place would have been a better idea, but yeah, still, it's fine. At this point in the VSC video, he flips the assembly over so that we can tighten these just a little bit. These are the other side of those T-nuts. They are yet another Allen wrench. This one appears to be 5/32. The suggestion is to tighten them just a little bit. Not tight, but just not like loose and flopping around either. So at this point, the instructions in step 5.5 say, Eric, stop bringing back that piece of plywood. So that's helpful. And then we move on to step 6, which is to turn the fence back over and bring it right up parallel to the miter slot. And what they want you to do is put in a piece of material that is straight sitting in the miter slot so that you can cozy the fence, which is able to move right now. You can cozy it up right up against that piece of material and then tighten those screws down. In the video, he has a piece of milled aluminum that fits right in there. I need to see if I can find or make something that would serve the purpose. This is a piece of aluminum extrusion that I happen to have around. It's actually part of an old router table fence. It fits right into the slot pretty nicely, but when I put it in there, it had a little play in it. So I grabbed made a couple of shims out of metal shim stock. These are just like 0.08 of an inch. Now I can snug this right up against that and be pretty confident that I have it parallel to the miter slot, which I already know is parallel to the blade because I just recently did that adjustment. So continuing to follow what the VSC folks did in their video, we cozy the fence up against the thing we've got sitting in the miter slot, and then he clamps it together, presumably just to hold it in place while the things are finalized. I assume lots of other kinds of clamps would work, but I happen to have some of these around, so I thought I would go ahead and follow his lead. The fence is now locked down, but the T-square is not. And he talks about trying to adjust it so that it's centered. And he discusses doing it by feel. I hope this isn't super important because I can't say that I'm confident I'm doing it like he did. I gave it my best effort. Seems okay. Then we go ahead and tighten the cam. This is kind of awkward. This is why he had us partially tighten these screws before. We had to do it underneath. Also, I really like these kind of fancy T-handle Allen wrenches, partly because they have the size written on them in big print, which I can read, but they're big and often awkward and so often not the right tool for the job, and I have to go back to regular old Allen wrenches which are labeled with print that I am too old to read. Nonetheless, this is the right one, and I just need to tighten these front two. The other two are underneath, and so we're going to have to turn it upside down in order to tighten the other two. Step 8 is to attach this pointer, which, by the way, feels like all of this, feels very high quality. And the screws here are already in place. Step 9 of the instructions, as shown in the VSE video. Make sure that the fence is square to the table in this fashion, as well as make sure that the fence is parallel to the surface of the table in the sense that the gap underneath the fence to the table should be the same all the way through. So I'll do the squaring part first. I'm just gonna take a combo square. I am not motivated to try and improve on that. I will say that trying to read the gap between the combo square blade and the aluminum extrusion, you need to be a little careful because the extrusion has extrusions. I mean, it has these grooves in it. It's not a flat surface, and so you need to make sure that you're looking at the part that is a flat surface, and it's tricking me in a couple of times, so it's easier to look from a side and then look back this way. But this looks quite good as far as I'm concerned, so that's the square part. As far as the checking, basically, is the front of the fence and the back of the fence, are they the same height with respect to the table? The way he did that in the video is he stacked a couple of rulers up and basically used them as a really thick feeler gauge, because, I mean, a regular machinist's feeler gauge, this is around 1/8 of an inch or so. That's, they don't make feeler gauges that thick. So I need to go find something. Well, I just said that they don't make feeler gauges that thick, but of course I was forgetting you can stack the blades. So this is just a cheap set of feeler gauges. And if I take the 4 thickest blades and stack them together, not super precise, but I do get the impression that this end is a little higher than that end. So I'm gonna make an adjustment. And the way you adjust the height here is by turning these two, well, they're plastic, but they're some sort of adjustment screw. I'm just gonna back these screws out just a little bit, like a 1/4 turn each, and see. So that feels pretty close. As an extra check here, I've got a dial indicator set up in the miter slot, and I wanna see how parallel I have the fence to the miter slot using this technique. And so at this end, I've set up the dial indicator and zeroed it. And then if I slide it further down, I find out that halfway down the fence, I'm actually off by 5 thou, which is a bit disturbing. Further down, I'm off by 9 thou. So I clearly have the fence not parallel to the miter slot. Whatever I did earlier did not work right. It's slanted off that direction. I can't say that I'm 100% sure what VSE's guidance would be on how to fix this problem. On the Biesemeyer fence, what I would do is adjust the counterparts to these set screws. But in this case, I could do that, or I could adjust the connection between the aluminum extrusion and the T-square. That sounds more difficult, so I'm gonna do the set screw method. I can never remember which screw tilts the fence in which direction, and the only way I can ever do this is to adjust one, see what difference it made, and then I know which one I need to turn. Okay, so I've made it worse, which is exactly the information I needed. Oh, but the other problem is, by messing with this, I'm messing with the question of whether I can shift the fence. I need to be careful about that. That's actually really close. That's close enough I'm gonna leave it the way it is and let the quality of the cut be the judge. Step 10, and the final step, is to apply some lubricant between the flapper and the cam. I've just grabbed a little bit of machine grease, and they suggest that this be done regularly. The install, I think, went well. I'm very happy with how smoothly this slides. I'll be even happier after I put another layer of T9 on my tabletop. Quality of this product seems outstandingly high. I look forward to experiencing it in practice and reporting how well it works when I actually use it. So I still need to calibrate this witness line here. I can't do that until the saw is ready to safely cut, because the way you calibrate it is you make a cut, you adjust the witness line to the actual width of the cut. But as I was preparing to do that, I looked at this and noticed, my goodness, the parallax on this witness line is terrible. How could they design it this way? And then I realized, oh, that's because I installed it upside down. So I ordered this system from VSC and then wasn't able to install it as quickly as I hoped, because I decided to take my table saw back apart and redo the base. So by the time I got around to installing it, certain things about this product were not fresh in my mind anymore. And it all came back to me after I got everything assembled and found that there was an extra package of hardware. And I asked myself, well, what's this for? How did I end up with extra parts after everything was installed? And that's when I realized these are extra T-nuts and things to attach accessories and jigs to the fence. This was an extra item. Why did they send it? Because I ordered it. And I ordered it because it's part of the coolness of this system. VerySuperCool Tools did not build their fence around an aluminum extrusion just because it was easy for them and it's nice and straight. They did it because it greatly increases the flexibility of the rip fence of a table saw. It brings some of the same kind of ideas to a table saw that you have with an MFT, which has tracks on the sides and dog hole grids on the top. It's the ability to attach all kinds of extra jigs and fixtures to increase flexibility. And the first example of that is what came in the third package I got from VSC, which is the GESM Clear Cut Stock Guides. These actually look really sweet. They have been customized by VSC for their fence system. So instead of getting them from GESM, I got them direct from VSC because they have different hardware to make them very easy and convenient to attach to their fence system. So, like I said, one example of the kind of flexibility that this fence system provides. I look forward to installing this and to installing other cool jigs and fixtures for use with the rip fence.